Thank you, G-Defy, for being a sponsor of Newsmax podcast. G-Defy shoes are the best choice for walking, running, and standing. If you spend a lot of time on your feet, these are the shoes for you. G-Defy's patented Verso shock technology aligns your posture and perfects your gait. Go to gdefy.com and use the code MAX for $30 off on orders of $130 or more.
This is the Newsmax Daily for Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. Hope you're having a fantastic day. It's the 177th day of the year, the fourth and final Taco Tuesday of the month, and on the fifth day of summer. Not only do we have, appropriately so, a summer heat wave in many parts of the country and some flooding in the Midwest, on the fifth day of the summer, we finally have a new Stanley Cup champion.
The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup!
The great Sean McDonough on the call for ABC and ESPN. The Florida Panthers, nicknamed the Cardiac Cats, lived up to it, taking the series to a Game 7, but on their third trip to the Stanley Cup in franchise history, they are now Stanley Cup champs for the first time.
Oh, it just means the world. I mean, 30 years of existence is it's the best. But yeah, the Panthers! Woo!
Celebrations on the streets of South Florida last night that may still be going on right now. And congratulations to the Edmonton Oilers as well for an incredible comeback and incredible series. Congratulations to the Tennessee Volunteers who got by Texas A&M to win their first Men's College World Series title last night as well. In other news, after spending 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy in London and another 5 in a high-security London prison, looks like Wikileaks founder Julian Assange has a deal to resolve his legal case over the publication of classified U.S. documents. This is his brother, Gabriel, who spoke with the media.
He's looking forward to, spending time with his family and being free, being able to have the sunshine on his face, hear the birds, go for a swim in the ocean.
Australian Prime Minister Albanese has been pushing for the United States to drop the case since 2022. Assange now going to plead guilty to 1 felony count. The New York Times says new polling data shows President Biden and former President Donald Trump essentially tied in the national polls with around 46% each when Robert F. Kennedy is excluded from the race. But with Kennedy included, Trump leads Biden 41% to 40%, with Kennedy getting 8% of the vote. Doesn't really matter, though. Either way, in the two-way and three-way race, Trump leads the battleground states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia. That would give Trump the Electoral College lead and the presidency. Let's start off with former presidential candidate and Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee on Newsmax with Rob Schmitt.
So Governor Mike Huckabee joins us now. Sir, good to have you on. We've been debunking many of the stories that they use to scare people away from voting Republican, from voting for Donald Trump. Here's another one that we always hear about, banning books.
I never thought I'd be a president who was fighting against elected officials trying to banning books. Empty shelves don't help kids learn very much. And I've never met a parent who wants a politician dictating what their kid can learn and what they can think or who they can be.
They're talking about, obviously, the bans are on books that are filth and perverse content for kids. They claim Florida was trying to ban Black history. We heard that so many times. In truth, Florida simply rejected African-American studies, of course, because it was determined to have actual Marxist theory built into it. But it is amazing. Everything that they spurn up the outrage over is generally manufactured by them.
Oh, absolutely. When Joe says, I never thought I'd see a president wanting to ban books, let me just say, hey, Joe, I never thought I'd see a president that thought that you didn't know what a woman was, that somehow that women were going to have to compete with biological men in sports, and they're supposed to shut up and think it's great. I never thought I'd see a president who supported the notion of having drag queens go and read story hour to 4- and 5-year-olds because somehow we're supposed to think that it is normal for some cross-dresser to show up at a school and read ridiculously pornographic and obscene stories to little kids and began grooming them for some perversion later in life. I never thought I'd see a president push that stuff, but we're seeing it. It's why we got to get rid of Joe, November the 5th. I think the beginning of that comes this Thursday night in the debate. I don't care who CNN lets moderate the thing. Trump's going to be on his best game. And Joe Biden, I'm not sure he will know he's in the game. That's going to be the story Thursday night.
Yeah. You know, for 7 years, they pushed the good people on both sides hoax. And as I just said, Snopes, which is a professional fact-checking service, has only now admitted that never happened. That to me is, I mean, that's all they do is fact-check. And that's one of the most effective and powerful lies that this country had. I mean, think about how much political clout they built off that lie.
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate they're considered so very credible. They're sort of like the Southern Poverty and Law Center that's a big fraud. Snopes is really left of center, always has been. They call themselves fact checkers. Anytime I see that term fact checker, especially if it comes from the Washington Post or the New York Times, I'm thinking they'd be better being fat checkers and checking people's bellies than they would checking facts, because they only want to check the facts that they agree with. Yeah. But in this case, after 7 years, I mean, they were kind of in a corner. The truth is the truth, and it doesn't matter who says it. That's why I think it's just so ridiculous. Stuff like you showed earlier with Casey Hunt, and she can't stand the fact that the people on her network, the two people who are going to be hosting and moderating this debate, are so biased against Donald Trump and have been vocal to the point of being absurd, and somehow we're supposed to believe they're journalists? My gosh, if they're journalists, then I'm a journalist. And I've never pretended to be one, nor even say I play one on TV. I'm a highly opinionated commentator who is a Republican Party office holder for 15 years. So I'm not going to pretend, oh, I'm an unbiased journalist. No, I'm not. Good gosh, but neither are they.
Governor Mike Huckabee on Rob Schmitt Tonight last night. And that CNN charade with Trump 2024 spokesperson Karoline Leavitt turned into a huge deal yesterday. If you haven't seen it by now or heard it, here's what happened.
First of all, it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently,
we're going to stop this interview if you're going to keep attacking my colleagues. Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am,
I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back.
Ooh, a power move. Clearly, Karoline Leavitt struck a nerve there. CNN cuts off Leavitt after she calls out Jake Tapper's well-known, well-documented history of anti-Trump rhetoric. And again, it is, of course, well-documented.
He uses the term poisoning the blood of our country, poisoning the blood of our country. If you were to open up a copy of Hitler's Mein Kampf, you would find the Nazi leader describing the mixing of non-Germans with Germans as poisoning. There's really no other way to say it. Donald Trump's language mirrors this directly.
Not directly, of course. So Trump's surrogates aren't allowed to bring up stuff like we just showed you as we all look ahead to the debate. The belief by CNN's Casey Hunt and others that they are exempt from criticism highlights the deep rot in corporate media. If CNN is bad now, just wait for Trump haters like Jake Tapper and Dana Bash during the debate.
That's Newsmax host John Bachman. Karoline Leavitt spoke about it with our Bianca De La Garza.
I mean, things on the internet live forever, all these clips. Is there a silver lining here that maybe CNN cannot be so biased in their questioning? These moderators maybe have to be a bit more fair than perhaps they were planning on being.
Well, we certainly hope so. And I wanted to say that as well, that we hope that CNN will ask good, tough questions of both President Trump and Joe Biden. We hope that they'll ask Joe Biden why he lied on their debate stage 4 years ago, saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. If they truly want to have a good debate, they should ask those questions. But certainly by them cutting off my microphone, they proved our point that President Trump is knowingly walking into a 3-on-1 cage match on Thursday night. But he's willing to do it because he wants to get his winning message to every corner of this country.
Karoline Leavitt, appreciate your time reacting to what happened this morning on CNN. We certainly appreciate your thoughtful comments as usual. And again, it's okay to disagree if they disagree with you, but let you finish your thought. Good to have you in today.
Thanks, Bianca. Good to see you.
All right. See you back here soon. Pleased to bring in right now former White House advisor to the Trump administration, host of the Gorka reality check, Sebastian Gorka. Seb, it's really indicative of just how they are. They want to shut you down if you're starting to bring up something that's factual. Why not just let her finish and then come back and say, I think my colleagues will do a great job, and just have a discussion when we cannot have civilized conversations of disagreeing? That's truly a breakdown, not just in the press, but in all of America here.
Well, because they're not there to do journalism. They're there to be propaganda outreach for the DNC and for the White House. I mean, I just wish, God bless Karoline, but I wish everyone who believed in the truth did this. You know, when I went on CNN when I was in the White House with Anderson Cooper, I started by saying, I'm sorry, Anderson, that more people watch reruns of Scooby-Doo on the Cartoon Network than watch CNN, which was a statement of fact. Now, I didn't get invited back, but I was there to turn them into the laughing stock that they are. Look at all these people, from Stephanopoulos to Bash and On and Tapper. They're all members of former Democrat administrations or married to key individuals, like Bash's husband was the, chief of staff for the Obama CIA. Yeah. So we're just stating a fact.
KJP,
they're not journalists.
Jen Psaki.
Why do they want to hide that? Jen Psaki, why do you want to hide that? When they shut down the guest, it's because they're telling the truth.
Former Trump advisor and Newsmax host Sebastian Gorka on Newsline with Bianca De La Garza. So I told you yesterday that President Trump said over the weekend that he has made his choice of a running mate and that person will be at the debate Thursday night. Sebastian Gorka said Donald Trump told him weeks ago who his pick was going to be.
Well, President Trump announced this weekend he knows who he is picking for vice president, but of course he is not telling anybody yet. He supposedly has not notified that person yet. However, he says they will most likely be in attendance at Thursday's debate. What's your prediction? I know you're very close with the president. What's your prediction for a running mate?
Well, I was told who it would be a few months ago. I was sworn to silence. It's somebody that very few people are talking about. Now, that doesn't mean the president can't change his mind. This pick was an amazing pick. I just want to see somebody who has a real job for 4 years. Most vice presidents are, irrelevant. They go to the funerals the president doesn't want to go to. I want to see a real vice president who has a portfolio like, dismantling the FBI or reforming the CIA, somebody who has a job to do. And then the most important thing is, of course, 2028. We need somebody who can take this populist message, this America First message that President Trump has built for us from 2015, and then have that third act after President Trump leaves office, if God willing he wins this November. After his 4 years of a second term, we need a vice president who can say, okay, I'm the new guy, and I'm going to continue what President Trump started. There are a lot of great choices out there, but let's wait and see.
Oh, your lips are sealed. All right.
And Dr. Gorka's take on the upcoming debate is spectacular. Right on point.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka. So President Trump, he's staying busy this week as Biden remains out of the public eye, reportedly working on debate prep for all week. Do you think President Trump, though, should be focusing more on debate prep?
The guy who defeated 16 rhinos in 2016 as a man who'd never run for political office before? I think not. I think not. This is the guy who is just unstoppable. The man who makes labels that zing like no other labels possible. The idea, let's just stop for a second and not talk about President Trump, who's actually out there on the road trying to save America. Let's talk about the fact that the current incumbent, the man who has a nuclear football within 30 feet of him 24 hours a day, is hiding in Camp David for a week. To do what? And is there not enough going on in the world around us? Chinese military aircraft buzzing our vessels, the war in Ukraine continuing, the death, the hostages, Americans taken also by Hamas in the Middle East. We have illegals murdering 12-year-old girls after they rape them here in America, or mothers of 5 in Maryland let in by this administration, and he's hiding out at Camp David. It's a bloody outrage is what it is. And no, President Trump will do just fine on Thursday.
Sebastian Gorka on Wake Up America with Charla McBride. Be sure to check out Sebastian's show as well, the Gorka Reality Check. That's Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern, and it airs again at 10 p.m. only on Newsmax. And go back to what he was saying, right? Kind of use this analogy. President Biden is like the CEO of the biggest, most powerful, most important company in the entire world. And now there are problems brewing like in every department, on every front. And the CEO is gone for an entire week to get ready for a big meeting, right? Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett says regardless of what happens Thursday night, both former President Trump and President Biden will both think that they won the debate. Unless, of course, Trump just annihilates them and there's no going back.
How much do you think the two candidates will focus on foreign policy and specifically the Israel and Hamas conflict? I know that your advice to both candidates has been stick to the basics.
Yes, ma'am. I would stick to the basics. I would say how you're going to fix the problems we have, the runaway inflation, the border situation. I think number one's going to be the border. And I think down on the list will be Israel and what's going on there, because I think the point still needs to be made that we are on both sides of this war. And for Biden to say we're not going to put troops on the ground, but he builds this crazy pier that nobody thought would work, that basically is $300 million they might have just thrown into the Gulf somewhere out there, because it's not ever going to work, I don't think, before this thing's over. And if I was Trump, I would just point out the failures, because he's only got an hour and a half, so he'll have to focus on just a few, because you can't hit them all. And of course, this president has been absent and will be, I think, for 8 days. And there's no telling, what cocktail mix they're giving him to get him jacked up enough to be able to last an hour and a half, because you saw he had about 55 minutes during the State of the Union, and he didn't make it to the end. So it's going to be interesting to watch. But I say on these debates, honestly, you bring your side, I bring my side, and we both leave thinking we won. And that's basically, and to put it on CNN, I mean, my gosh, they cheated the last time. They admitted to it. Could you imagine if somebody had been giving Donald Trump the questions?
That is Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett on American Agenda with Katrina Zish and Bob Brooks. He is, of course, referencing the 2016 presidential race when Democratic operative Donna Brazile, who worked for CNN, later admitted to supplying Hillary Clinton with debate questions in advance. Brazile also wrote in a Time magazine essay that my job was to make all Democratic candidates look good, and I worked closely with both campaigns to make that happen, she said. But sending those emails was a mistake I will forever regret. CNN let Brazile resign instead of saying that they fired her. And last but not least, today is primary day in New York. Yes, Tuesday primaries still happening. All the eyes today are on Congressman Jamaal Fire Alarm Bowman, who's facing a fierce challenge from Westchester County Executive George Latimer. It has become the most expensive congressional primary in history, with about $25 million spent on the race. And you remember Bowman, who was at the event with the overhyped, overdramatic, failed actress AOC, right? Turns out he was supposed to be at an event for the food pantry, for the people. On Wall Street, stocks opened mixed this morning. The S&P and the Nasdaq in the green, the Dow slightly lower. That is reverse of how stocks closed yesterday. Tech stocks are again in focus today after yesterday's big sell-off. All right, you can keep up with all of the news all day and night on Newsmax. It's available on most major cable systems: AT&T, Armstrong, Comcast, Cox, Mediacom, Suddenlink, Spectrum, Xfinity, as well as Dish, DirecTV, and many others. And if you are are not yet streaming on Newsmax Plus, go to newsmaxplus.com, get signed up. You can get a free trial. It includes all of your favorite shows and hosts and great analysis from people like Governor Mike Huckabee, former acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker, Judge Napolitano, Professor Dershowitz, Carrie Lake, and many others. NewsmaxPlus.com. I'm Tony Marino. This is the Newsmax Daily. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.